Hi, this is Daniel O'Connor from the Warpit Reuse Network. This is a very quick recording of a webinar we've just delivered about the reuse of surplus assets in the NHS. This talk is all about maximising the reuse of surplus assets within your organisation. I want to talk about reuse in general, in the main, but I'm also going to show you a little bit about how our customers, our NHS Trusts, are using Warpit to save procurement costs and waste charges. I'm also going to show you how to make the business case for reuse in general terms. And I'm also going to talk to you about how to get buy-in from stakeholders about reuse in general terms as well. I'm also going to show you how to link this with the strategic objectives to make your job much easier. And I'm also going to show you what resources I'm going to send out to you after this session. So reuse is about facilitating the process so your staff can collaborate on resource use, okay? So on Warpit, we develop these online marketplaces so staff can get visibility on what other staff have surplus to requirements. But this might also be done through a message board or an email system. But you really want to, if you really want to increase participation and really drive reuse, you need some sort of online platform which makes it super easy to use, super easy to manage, deals with logistics, deals with storage, all that sort of stuff. You need an online platform. Okay, so that's how we work internally. On our system, you can also trade with other parties in your city or region or across your sector. So that becomes a disposal network, but it also becomes a claim network as well, okay? And we talk about internal staff being priority one, friends on the system, other people in your other organisations in your sector being friends, you can turn those priorities on and off depending on the flow of assets in your estate. This is what it looks like, so for example, NHS Tayside, this is their homepage. Staff register and log in at this point. They see the metrics and they're really important. I'll come on to them next. I'll come on to them later, sorry. So this is what it looks like. There's an online marketplace. When you've got an online marketplace, it makes things much, much simpler. People don't need to visit storerooms. People can see what the asset is like. People can claim it. And they can, the system will manage all those claims, who gets what, all that sort of thing. So if you really want to maximise reuse, you need an online marketplace. And also, we're trying to make reuse mainstream. We're competing with people buying new stuff. So we need to look like eBay or Amazon or the procurement system to be able to compete. We need to be easier than the e-procurement system, okay? When you click into a record, you should be able to see all the details. This is experience our customers have in the NHS, where they can choose how many they want, they know what it is. Another great way of boosting savings is, on our system, because we've got various checks and measures, we can actually facilitate the trading of more challenging items. And within these challenging items, there's often big savings, okay? And another big way that we make savings is there's two ways that this is generally used. It's for day-to-day reuse of items, the day-to-day churn, if you like, but also for building clearances. So, you've got to make it really easy for people to add their own assets, in sequence, in bulk. It's got to be really quick, really easy. So just to highlight, the building clearance process should also be considered when you're looking to make big savings on reuse. Okay. Now, the next few slides is all about making things easy for staff. Okay, because you've got to make things easy for staff because that's just human nature. So, for example, on our system, if you search for a cabinet and you don't find one today, you can add cabinet to your wish list. And if anybody puts on a cabinet in the future, you get an email about someone putting a cabinet on, if you got that on your wish list. So that links up the disposer with the recipient directly, makes it nice and easy for them, but also it takes pressure off the storage or any storage you might have. It takes the pressure off the storage and you don't have to double handle the asset, moving it into store and out of store again, okay? So big savings there. Also for the building clearance, when you're doing a building clearance program, when you're clearing assets, on our system, you can add the assets way in advance of the building move. So let's just say that you've had some assets. Let's just say you're doing a building clearance in May. You can add the assets now, and staff can get visibility on them and plan their procurement needs for the future. But also the building clearance manager, can see how many people are watching their assets and plan for disposals accordingly. So that's a really big hit. If you're going to be maximising savings from reuse, you need to start to engage with your building clearance programme, your capital development people, your refurbishment people, your space managers, people like that. Okay. Now, external collaboration is also big for savings. In the city, you've often got someone throwing something out where another organisation might be buying exactly the same thing. So we allow external collaboration across organisations, and that's for high-end items like these desks. And it's also about increasing your disposal network, so you can dispose of items into schools and charities that you don't want but they do. And it's also not very sexy items as well. So in this scenario, NHS South London Maudsley were throwing away 40 of these Eurobins, and NHS Tayside up in Dundee claimed them on the system, drove down, saved £15,000. So both those parties were winners. And also on our system, and this is big for reuse, you can trade stuff internally as much as you can, but you're always going to have stuff that you don't want that others might need. And on our system, we give charity access for free, so they can get access to your corporate assets in a safe and legal, controlled manner. And when you pass assets into the third sector, your impact is magnified. Now, I mentioned so that's a quick overview of how our NHS customers are using our system to save lots of money, okay, and improve reuse and maximise reuse and get really good participation in the reuse process. Next bit of this presentation is about making the business case. Yeah, so on our system, we track all the savings that reuse brings, and our customers use that evidence to get more resources put into reuse. Okay, so that might be a new store, it might be a new person or whatever, but they use those savings as evidence that reuse works, and they need to put some more effort into it. Now, what's really interesting is, you probably don't know or understand the value of those low value, high volume assets across your estate. But as soon as you start reusing and tracking them, you start to get good data, So and nobody really ever understands how big that opportunity is until you start tracking it. Now, you might not be a customer of Warpit yet, and you might be thinking, well, how do I use this data to make my business case? Well, we have some top 10 performers that you can look at, okay, on our homepage. On our leagues page. So these are top 10 performing organisations. Okay, now so you can take data from this where these are monthly savings and these are savings over time. Okay, you can see return on investment there, carbon, waste, all that sort of thing. Okay, so you can get good data from there. But also, I can send you, if you want, I can send you a whole spectrum of NHS performance on a spreadsheet, which I can show you the best performers, I can show you the worst performers. It'll be anonymised, but you'll be able to get a handle on just how much other NHS are saving via reuse. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. And yeah, so I'll send you the spectrum of performance database, so you can see exactly what the best performers are doing and the worst. So next part of this presentation is getting buy-in from other parties in your department and in your estate. Okay, so you can't do this all of your own. This is not a waste issue. This is actually a procurement issue, really, or it's more a procurement issue than a waste issue, because if an asset ends up in the skip, it's too late. If an asset ends up in the yard where the skips are, it's probably too late. If the asset ends up on the loading bay before it gets to the yard, it's probably too late. This is a symptom of a broken procurement system. If staff are buying stuff other staff already have, that's a broken procurement system. Yeah. So you might want to frame reuse in broader terms, maybe around procurement, maybe around sustainability, but certainly not a waste issue and certainly not just a sustainability issue. Okay, so the people who are interested in making reuse work, or who should be brought in on this, or that list, plus I'd also add in capital development to that. Okay, now I can send you, after this session, I will send you a link to the benefits that each of these departments has from reuse. Okay, but in the sake of just making progress and getting through this video, I'll leave that for now. So how do you improve reuse and bring all these people, all these departments along with you This is something that we use. We found it really works really well. And actually, this comes from a chap called Gareth Kane, who's an author of Green Jiu-Jitsu, and I'll link to him in the email as well. So explain your broad objectives. You want to improve reuse. Okay. Now, then you ask the different parties, what do they like about the current way they do the process? So for purchasing, it might be the purchase order scenario. It might be how staff buy items, and you've got to analyze the process. And what you're trying to get here is a process diagram where you can show the inputs and the outputs and how that process works across the estate. And you're looking for time savings. You're looking for duplicity. You're looking for places you can save money and save time. Keep asking that person what, why, where. Tell me more. Those open questions, where they keep explaining about their process. Now, it's not just the procurement process, it's the disposal process as well, or your existing reuse process as well. So you're analysing these different processes to see where there might be some opportunities. Now, once you get these stakeholders talking about their process, they're going to be talking with passion about it, hopefully. But get them talking about it. Ask those open questions. Get them to explain more. Tell me more. You drone the process out of them, right? Now, as they're talking, what you'll find is they'll sort of tell you about areas that could be improved. Yeah. So they'll say, "Oh, we wasted a bit of time here. This is a bit of duplication. This wastes loads of money." So they'll actually identify areas that can be improved. Okay. At that point, once they start identifying those areas. By the way, if they don't start identifying areas, ask them, how could you improve this? As they do that, then you've got to start asking, if it was a perfect world, we know it isn't, but if it was, or if I had a magic wand, what would I do to improve this process, right? And what they'll start to describe with regards to reuse is probably either an email news ring, a message board, an online platform, a marketplace, something like that, which links in with logistics and storage and all that sort of thing. They'll start to describe something along those lines, and Warp It, our solution, will be pretty close to whatever they describe, I foresee. Okay, so they've come up with their own solution, right? It might be Warp It, it might be an email message board, it could be something else, But what I would advise is go with what they advise, go with their idea, and start to progress it through their idea that they have suggested, okay? And because they've suggested the idea, they're much more bought in. Because they're much more bought in, it's much more likely to fit, much more likely to succeed. If it does fail, then they're much more likely to support it as well and get it fixed, So that's how we get buy-in. And the final way we get buy-in is to link reuse to existing strategies. So these are just a list of strategies. You might have more, you might have less. But generally, in an estate strategy, there'll be a space objective on space efficiency. Reuse is great for that because it frees up space because staff hoard items, and they hoard items because they don't really want to let them go because they don't know what's going to happen to them. They think they're going to end up in the skip. But on a reuse system, obviously they get passed on to other people. So staff are more likely to relinquish the asset, and free up space. There'll also be some savings targets in your estate strategy, probably around waste, where you can make savings within reuse. There might even be some time-saving strategies around how can we use our portering system better, and reuse is a good way to save porters time, okay? Sustainability strategy is an obvious one, I won't go into that. Procurement strategy is also obvious, but what might not be obvious is there will be some sort of procurement demand reduction targets, within that strategy, or there should be, because that's procurement 101 really. It's the first spot on the hierarchy. Do we have to buy this in the first place? So reuse fits into that directly. Also, there might be some savings objectives within the procurement strategy, and you might also have some sustainability objectives within that procurement strategy. So that's a pretty good one. Also, as part of the Carter review, you will have some sort of efficiency drive or efficiency strategy, and obviously it links into them. Okay. Now, what's the important part about linking with strategic objectives? It works on a few levels. First of all, you get your stakeholders bought in because you're helping them with their objectives. That list of people, the list of staff I just showed you previously. Sorry, these people. So you're helping them towards their objectives. But the next thing about linking with strategic objectives is each strategic objective usually has some sort of senior sponsor or senior lead. Okay. Now, when you start doing your reuse system, you're going to need some communication materials. You're going to need to embed this into practice. You want to show that reuse is normal, that reuse is easy to do, that everyone's doing it. And so what is great is, you can get quotes from the senior management who are leading on these objectives. Get them to quote about reuse and how they want everyone to reuse. Put that in your newsletters. Put that in your online presence, and then your staff will then understand that reuse is easy. Everybody's doing it. It's part of what we should be doing, and it just makes your system much more likely to succeed. Okay. What support can we offer? So just wrapping up, this is the sort of support we can offer you. I'm here all the time, to give you advice on anything to do with reuse. My whole vision is to make reuse mainstream. So if you're going down the email newsring route, get in touch. I can give you some advice on pitfalls to avoid. If you're going down the message board route, get in touch. I can give you some advice on what to avoid. But if you want to really maximise reuse and really want to get high participation, you might want to consider an online platform. If you're going to commission your own, good luck, do it. I can offer you advice on that as well. Or you can just pull one straight off the shelf, warp it, and it'll pretty much match what you need. So after this, you will find in the email, if you're part of the email, that you'll get the access to these following these list of support materials. If you're not on the email, just drop me an email now, and I'll send you some support materials, and we can link up, and I can offer any advice that you require around reuse. There's a lot of mistakes. We've been doing this since 2005. We've made a lot of mistakes. We've failed a lot. We've gone through hundreds of different iterations of our service. We started off as an email newsring years ago. We moved into message boards, and then we developed an online platform in 2011. So we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about rolling out reuse in large organisations, about making change in large organisations. So we can probably help you. So just get in touch, and hopefully in next year, you'll be in our top 10 list of monthly savings. And you'll be joining the likes of NHS Glasgow, NHS Newcastle upon Tyne, Cheshire and Wirral Partnership, in that top 10 league table. Okay, so thanks for your time, and get in touch.